I'm Charlotte, and this is Chatting with Charlotte, where I share conversations, life hacks, and inspirations to help you on your healing journey. Today, I want to talk about triggers. You know, triggers are something that in this present day, that an event, a smell, a sound, a song, that generate and evoke an emotional response and sometimes a physical response that it can be pleasant sometimes, but most of the time when we're talking about recovery from trauma, it's not pleasant. It generates feelings of anger, fear, all of the things that we experienced as children, because it's really literally bringing up that inner child who is crying for help, and that whatever's happening is bringing his or her emotions to the surface. So what happens, or what can you do to modify that in your life and to navigate triggers? Well, for me, what has always helped is if I can take and it's difficult if you're in the midst of a trigger and it's overwhelming and you're really having even difficulty staying present. It's difficult to do this, but if you can just take a deep breath, maybe close your eyes, and just step out of it for long enough to say, okay, what just happened that might have triggered an old response? For example, if something happened every time that you were abused, if your abuser took you to get ice cream before he abused you or she abused you, sometimes if you are going to get an ice cream cone, you may all of a sudden have this incredible urge to run away or feel sick at your stomach. It's because that in that moment, that incident is triggering that response. So in that sense, it's important for you to be able to identify another time that you felt the same way, that whatever's happening, to think to yourself, even if you do it after it happens, to say, okay, when did I feel like this in the past? Even if it's just in the recent past. Because those things, then by determining that, you'll understand what the trigger is and what is the source of your response. But how does that help you? Well, it helps you because then you can quickly tell yourself, as I've shared in a previous video about how old do you feel, you can talk to that inner child and say, okay, calm down. We're not 5 years old anymore. My abuser is not here. I am buying an ice cream cone for my adult self. And you can go on and move on in that moment and squelch the trigger or the emotional response to the trigger. Now, you can't always do that, but it is a way of looking at it in a way that can help you navigate that in a better way, in a quicker way, and help triggers not disrupt your life as much. For example, in my life, I was remembering this weekend that before my uncle abused me, he would always give me a bath, and then he would take me to bed. So on Saturday, I took a shower and I went to bed, and I was overwhelmed with temptation and urges and thoughts about sex and pornography that I've not experienced in years. And it took me a moment to figure out that, in fact, the trigger for that response was the fact that that day, and writing my book proposal, I had again revisited that experience with my uncle. And something as simple as that had triggered the response. And so I quickly shut it down, and I prayed, and I read scripture, and I talked to the little girl inside of me, and I said, we're not 8 years old. Uncle Ray is not here. We're an adult, and we're going to get through this. And it took a minute, but it was resolved. And so I think that's an important thing for you to remember. Identify what was the source, what happened, and why are you responding the way that you are, and then taking charge and telling the little girl that everything's okay, or the little boy. So I hope that's helpful in managing triggers. Please respond, comment below or subscribe, and share your thoughts. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye now.